Good evening, family.
Hi, friends.
I was like, are you here with me today, Phaedra, or what?
I am, but I don't hear myself, so.
Oh, neither do I. That's so funny.
Oh, there we are.
There we go.
Okay.
Good evening, family.
Hi, friends.
It is the Parenting Evolution Show. Back at you live again in studio with Amazing Grace at that Hub Life Radio.
Yes. And tomorrow is a special day, friends.
If it's your birthday, make some noise.
It's
if it's
one
your birthday,
time
make
for the
some
birthday.
Noise. Make some noise. Birthday beach. Birthday beach.
Oh. Tomorrow is Chanel's birthday. It's a great day.
It is going to be an Aries in the house. Woo, woo.
Woo!
Come on now.
Yes. Oh, yes. I am. I'm going to clap it up for my friend.
Oh, so dead. I don't feel the love in here today.
Dang, it's dead in here.
No,
I'm not feeling the love in here today.
I'm here. I'm not here.
Okay. So, yes, tomorrow is my born day. I will be the golden 48
Yes.
years old.
And fabulous.
48 and fabulous. I am not ashamed. Not
Did you
at
say
all.
38?
48.
48?
Mm-hmm.
You look good. That skin is tight.
I know. I do. That good black.
That is that good black. All that melanin.
dripping with melanin. I can't even say the word.
You can't.
Dripping with ignorance.
And you guys go to her Facebook page so you can see she always posts a picture every year.
Yeah. I do my ratchet
Fabulous.
photo shoot every
Yes.
year. Shout out to Callie Couture, who always dressed me for my ratchet birthday photo shoot.
Absolutely.
And I will never disappoint. So tomorrow, I got to get it in before the rain comes, because I think the rain is coming. Although I don't know who's coming to take my pictures tomorrow. I don't have
Sorry,
anyone
friend,
there.
I can't be there. I would love to. 'Cause
I
you know I love to take
be
good
out in the
pictures.
street knocking on my neighbor's door like, what you doing? How you saying in Spanish? Because all my neighbors are Spanish.
You could get those neighbors who were about to fight somebody the other day. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I can go across the street. Yeah. So I'll knock on someone's random door
That
in a
was
whole
enjoyable.
gown.
I was in the street like
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah. So, welcome to today's show. Today,
Yes.
we will be discussing the impact on parenting
Of divorce.
from divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I can share some personal experiences.
We both can.
Phaedra can also share some personal experiences. We are expecting an in-house guest who's held up a little bit in traffic coming from New York. So, hopefully, she'll make it. If not, then we got this, right?
We got this.
All right. So, at the beginning of every show, we talk about how you can listen in. So, how you can listen in is how, Phaedra?
You can call us at 973-400-8457. What's our email, Chanel?
God, she tried to flip the script. on
I
me.
did. What's our email, friends?
Or you can email us at parentingevolution180@gmail.com. How about that?
I love that look.
How about that? You thought you was going to catch me slipping.
You thought you was going to catch me slipping, though.
No, I was telling you to do the email address, and I was going to do the phone number. I'm like, she just really tried to flip the script on me and try to play me out, catch me out there. Not today, boo-boo. Not today. So, yeah, please email us, call in with any questions, comments, or blessings that you want to send to the show.
Or say happy birthday to my friend.
Or say happy birthday to her friend. I hear an echo.
Me too.
I was to say you hear an echo, and I don't see anything there.
Yeah.
Okay. So to begin the show, we're going to talk about a peek and a pit from the week that we've been away from you all.
Right.
Please chime in online if you're listening with your peek and your pit as well. But my life is typically boring, so I thought I'd do a peek and a pit from other people's lives.
Okay.
Since this is a parenting show around parenting. So I'll start with the pit because I want to get that out there and get it out of my head. I recently heard about a young couple, a very young couple in Neptune, New Jersey, 18 and 19-year-olds who recently gave birth to a baby and I guess decided for whatever reason, well, they said they had to do what was best for them, decided that they didn't want the baby. They had hid the pregnancy, and she gave birth, and they suffocated the baby. And then threw the baby's body remains in a dumpster, and so the baby was found not alive, and they were immediately arrested because of that.
As they should have been.
And so this is just a reminder. This happens way more often than I like to think about. And so this is just a reminder to young people, because I was a young parent too, and I know it's a scary thing, and I know that you may think your life is over, but there are safe havens that you can use. I don't even know
You
if
can
they
go
had that
anywhere.
back in the day.
They did not when we were
Right.
growing up, but you can go anywhere now without question.
Without question, any place, a hospital,
Fire,
the firehouse,
Station,
where else?
Police department,
police
hospitals,
department,
churches.
and most of those entities are open 24 hours a day. So no
Absolutely.
matter what time or of day or night it is, you can utilize one of those safe havens and just drop the baby off where it could be safe. And there are too many couples and or even single folks out here that want babies desperately, and that should never be an option or a last resort. So just remember those safe havens. So that was my pit for the week. That story, it made me really sad. But the peak it was a couple of stories, right? And one, I'm smiling because, I'm thinking about, did my children ever do anything like this for me? I'm sure they probably have supported me in some way, not with me not knowing or even knowing. I just don't remember because they're old as F now, and I'm old as F now, so I don't get it. But there's one story of a 12-year-old, and I can't remember where he was from.
I can't remember either.
His grandmother and his mother kept getting flat tires because of all of the potholes in the street.
So cute.
So he had a half a day from school one day, so he took it upon himself to use the dirt from the garden and start to fill the potholes in his neighborhood because he didn't want his grandmother and his mom to get flat tires anymore.
That's so
I thought that was
that is super sweet.
A sweet thing for him to try to help them out. And then there's another story of another young man who his mom is going through some hard financial times, and she didn't have a car to get he and his two siblings back and forth to school. So he saw a woman was selling a car, old like 1999 Chevette or something like that.
Yeah.
And so he went to this on his own. He went to this woman and asked if he could do yard work or housework for her,
Right.
and he was going to sell his Xbox to afford this car for his family. And initially, the owner said no, for whatever reason. But then she eventually came around, and so they were able to surprise. He was able to surprise his mother with the car, and she didn't believe it at first. Like, he's like all excited running in the house, like, I bought you a car, and she's like, yeah, right. And the woman that was actually there with the car, and they all went for a ride in the car. So that was a good feel-good story too that I really enjoyed. So that was my peak in my pit for the week. How about you, Phaedra? What do you have?
You're starting to make me feel like my life is boring too, but
My
it's
life
not.
is boring. My life is boring.
You know what's my pit? My sciatica started acting up. I feel like a 70-year-old man.
I got this sciatica burning in my soul.
My sciatica is kicking my butt since Friday evening. And my husband and I coach soccer. And we were supposed to have a soccer game, and I prayed to the rain gods that we didn't, and so the game got canceled.
So was that a peak or a pit?
That was a peak. So the soccer game got canceled because my sciatica started acting up at like 6 o'clock on Friday.
Lord have mercy.
Old lady.
Yes, old lady gang.
You had to rub yourself down with some salve.
I actually am wearing one of those patches that releases. Someone gave it to me midday, and I have it on my back, and it's like the greatest thing ever. On that group of nerves, I've been rolling and doing all kinds of things, but my sciatica has made me a really grouchy, angry person.
Oh, no.
And so I was grouchy and angry today, and then Chanel got in the car and had on a bubble coat, and it's nice and warm outside. And
First of all,
We're counting.
First of all, it is not a bubble coat.
Oh,
What did you call it, Grace? You called it a shell.
it's a
It's
winter
very,
coat.
very thin. But I got in the car in my bubble coat, so to speak, and she had the air conditioner blaring.
Because it's 79 degrees.
Like, she is straight Arctic today.
Yes.
It's not 79 degrees.
It is 70. I showed you a while
You should not have
ago.
the air on. If you have the air on, then you have
There's
a problem.
nothing wrong with you. Chanel has an ice box where her heart used to be.
I
She's
don't
always
care.
freezing.
I I don't care.
You're the sister in Frozen that like makes everything frozen.
I had to get in the car and zip my jacket up because she had the air on.
Yes, because
it's like, what is happening in here? No, we don't ever do that. We don't ever put the air. One year it snowed on my birthday in April, so that just goes to show that it's not air conditioning. Yes, I swear to you.
No, I believe you.
Yeah, so April is not air conditioning time yet.
When it's 79.
It wasn't 79.
I run hot. Amazing Grace runs hot.
It wasn't 79.
Chanel is the icebox.
Well, I can't help it if your sciatica pushed you into early menopause.
It did not.
You're in early menopause. Like, I can't help that.
Wow, Grace. Wow. She did. And she's older than both of us, but it's okay.
48?
48.
I won't tell you how much older that is than me, but okay.
Well, take it up with Jesus because you know,
really,
you're
on fire.
I can't help it that
she's not on fire. That's the problem.
Going through perimenopause. Oh snap! Did she just shut up me?
She did.
She playing with stuff.
Playing with stuff. Yep.
All right, so we're going to get into this show.
We are.
The topic for today. Phaedra, you want to kick us off?
I am going to kick us off
discussion?
because my wonderful guest, Sherry Robinson, who's an attorney and mediator, isn't here, but I can definitely speak to some of the things here. So Sherry does a lot with, like, divorce and family law and things of that nature. But as a divorcee who is remarried, so I guess that doesn't make me a divorcee. I don't really know.
You're still a divorcee.
Yes. So...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right. So talking about like divorce and using mediation, I think one of the things she wanted to get across with mediation is it's a lot more economical than a divorce is.
In what way?
It's cheaper. So you can do it for a lot less money.
If you did it through but don't you still have to pay the mediator?
You do, but you can often get a mediator for like $500, and if they're able to like.
Well, hell, I see those signs for divorce all the time for $300.
I know, but you got to fill out all the paperwork, and like if you mess up one thing, they can kick it back to you, right? So you try to fill out that paperwork or pay that person, and that's just for the paperwork piece.
Yeah,
that doesn't help you with like what if it's a contested divorce where you're fighting over not just your children and like what the schedule is going to look like if you're fighting over the home or whatever it is. If it's a really ugly divorce, that's not going to work, right? Look at Jeff Bezos and his wife, who he's still one of the richest men in the world, and she's now like the third richest woman because of the divorce.
Yeah,
she's really an attractive woman right now. I'm just joking. So
I'm like, is she? I'm trying to figure out, like,
but she's like the third richest woman in the world. So I think she's gorgeous. So
no,
just joking.
We are going to take away the sound effects from Grace.
Grace is starting again.
She is on one. Shut up, man. Right. Clapping hands and like we're gonna take away. Take away your button. And there's the applause.
Exactly.
There's the
time for Grace. So here's the difference. Like, let's say he and his wife, or in any situation, if you're able to go to a mediator and sit down and plug out, something like an agreeable, you can walk into court and move from there because it's done, right? It's a legally binding document, and you move on from there. So the benefit of mediation is that you agree on everything. You put it in a document, they write it up a certain way, and then you go from there. You can include in there your custody agreement, everything that you want to do, which is rather helpful. Yeah. Right.
Well, you think what are some of the reasons? Because in like urban communities, black folks get divorced and they just split up forever.
Right.
They never really get divorced. Like, right. You've been separated from your husband for 25 years, but you're still legally married to this man. And so, what are some of the fears you think that prevents them from actually finalizing or severing that relationship completely?
I think it's exactly what you said, severing that relationship completely. I think maybe going to courts, money going into the courts, like not trusting, which is why mediation is another argument for something that's great, but trusting the courts, a judge, someone else, and doing the right thing for your kids. Because often what people have to learn is when you do go into court and you have a custody agreement, the judge just kind of comes up with something that really neither parent ends up winning of sorts, right? So in Jersey, custody it's shared regardless. So often, unless someone has rights terminated, you both have shared rights. One parent has primary residential custody, which is that's where the kids live. And so you go from there. So I think that it has to be distrust of the system. It has to be all of these things that we as a people have to. I have that in my family where people like died out of marriages, and I was just like,
but they weren't together in like 900 years. Like,
drives me insane.
Legally, they were still married to one another, so she has or he has all the rights.
They both have boyfriend and girlfriends or whatever, like utter crazy.
Other children, and just like technically still married to the husband.
Yeah.
But do you think some of it is like religious too? Like, you know how the Bible says that until death do us part, right? Ooh. So I'm just gonna hold out, wait till you die.
But I got a girlfriend or a boyfriend
with 20 other kids,
right? That is one of those things that.
But I guess that goes against the Bible too, because isn't that
you're
technically
living
in, fornication or adultery?
Right? You're committing adultery, right? So that, not that we're saying that, she's just saying from that perspective. But I think one of the things that happens is in a lot of communities, it's not just black folks, it's a lot of people of color. Like, imagine that your immigrant status is questionable and you don't want to walk into a court and divorce someone because of, or some people they are actually born and raised here and go to court and get held up because something somewhere says that you were this or that from this country or whatever. So I think that's difficult for people. I think in the whole, like, across the diaspora of people of color, there is a distrust of the courts, because how often do you walk in and really, when you're in divorce court, and you and I have both been there, when do you really get to have your say and speak to, like, hey, this is why I want to do this. It doesn't have to do with me being angry at my ex. Like, this is my perspective on it. And then listen to the other person's perspective. You don't get that in a court of law.
Right.
One person is going to, of sorts, have a little more say, depending on what they've spent as far as an attorney. But, it's... Either way, I really don't think that the best interest of the child is always brought forth.
Well, so let's talk about that, the best interest of the child, because there are so many things that people that are going through divorce, like, don't know what they should be asking for, or don't, and some people, like, for me, I was just in a space, like, I just wanted it to be over. I didn't want anything. I didn't ask for anything. I just, like, let's sign this and get it over with. And so now I'm in a position where I'm struggling with them, trying to put them through college, because I didn't know to ask for this, and that. I mean, we had a verbal agreement, but that verbal agreement turned out to be null and void because it was just a verbal agreement with regard to college. But those are things that are so important that you definitely should.
You do need to get an agreement put in place, no matter what you feel about one another, right? And so, like you're saying, I just want it over with because I want to move on with my life, and it's, you don't want to fight about it, but you do need to put things on paper, because people can just switch up, right? And so yourself in particular being in a position where you have two twins at the same time in college.
I hate when people say two twins.
I know, sorry. I said that. Thank you for correcting me.
I hate
two twins as opposed to just twins, right? So when you have the twins in college and you have tuition due on both twins, on both the kids, and there's no help given. In witnessing this myself, it made me feel broken for you, for the kids, like, wow. And it's one of those things I say to people, like, you and the adult have decided to break up, but you don't break up with your kids, people. It's just like, you have a responsibility, and it can't just be that the other parent, because they're consistent and constantly there, is going to be the one to do everything. Because also the harm that you do on those kids, like, forget the adults. Like, for me, watching a child that I love cry and be crushed, not in my own situation, in the case of the babies, the twins, watching that, or the thought of them not being able to go back to school, but their mom, who always gets everything done, gets it done for them, but still at the expense of, like, everything.
Right.
And so I'm always bothered by that, because you guys have decided to separate, everybody should step up.
And I think you have to step up even more so then, because you're living these separate lives.
Yes.
But you still have these humans that you're responsible for. And you can't ever lose sight of those humans that you're responsible for, irrespective of how the two of you may feel.
Yes.
That's why I'm like, I didn't know, excuse me, I'm a little bit ill.
I was gonna say, she
put your bubble coat on.
Different. Is that what 48 sounds like?
That's what 48 sounds like. She needs her bubble coat and a sweater.
This is what it
She's
sounds
the
like.
old lady.
This is what it sounds like.
It was actually 3. You
when
missed one.
Phaedra make you ride over with the air on blast on Arctic.
First of all, I turned it off
I get
instantly
sick.
because she was complaining.
I get sick. But yeah, like I just didn't know, right? And again, I wasn't in the headspace where I'm thinking like, oh, I'm gonna ask for this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna ask for that, and blah 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 blah. Because we were together for a very long time. And I was
kudos
just like,
to you for trusting him, but at the end of the day, there's just business. But kudos to you for having the trust.
So it goes. I mean, but it goes both ways too. I'm sure there are things that the husband or the ex-husband could have asked for, like they have their rights too, right? What are their rights? But people go in so blind that you just want to get it done and over with, and just and I don't want to say majority of the people do it that way, because I got some friends who are like, I'm gonna take him for his dirty drawers, or I'm gonna make sure that B don't blah 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 blah.
And I don't like that. I don't like either of those.
Why? Because it ultimately impacts the children.
It does, like, because that negative relationship, like, for myself in a divorce, my ex-husband and I are really great friends at this point. Like, we really understand the importance of, like, maintaining being a family and being really close. I was telling someone today how I was having a discussion with him last week, and he was like, that boy is cupcake soft. Like, talking about our son. He called my son a Twinkie. He said he's soft. I was like, he's not that soft. He was like, he's soft. And then later on, I was with my current husband, and I was like, that boy is cupcake soft.
What is cupcake soft?
He just said like soft. No. You know my ex-husband as well. He's crazy. And so I realized, like, that was hilarious that he said that. But, we've come a long way. And so I've been in both places. I love the fact that it's a family. We've definitely been in a place where I'm sure we would have like shot at each other maybe many moons ago. It was tough, right? And trying to like all the time remind yourself, no matter how much that person tries you, no matter what they say,
it's about the kids. It's about the kids.
It's about the kid, Lord. Like, you trying to quote Bible verses.
It's about the kids.
Whatever you can, whatever your religion, right? And that's what you keep trying to play in your head. And sometimes adult people challenge that and make it tough. So it's tough. Shout out to Marcus Womack, and who else we got
Marcus,
there? Hey, Brother Marcus and Robert Hill. Hello, fellas. So it does make it hard. So men, women alike, and I'm not saying everybody plays a part in making it difficult, right? But you do have to just keep repeating it's about the kids and not go back into the very thing that got you divorced or got the relationship broken up, because that's what you got to remember. We weren't great at communicating, so that's why we're not together, right? And so what happens is you start falling in that trap. Then it's, he's like, well, she just always wanted to be her way, and she like, oh, he just always wanted to be his way, and then it becomes like this thing, and it becomes so difficult, and it becomes so hard. And then again, you just got to say, nope, I have to put that aside. It is about the children. I spoke with someone recently, and I was like, right, you guys called the police on each other. I was like, but you're black people. Both of you could have been dead, or one of you could have been dead. So you called the police to get what?
Right.
Instead of just doing the right thing as far as your kids are concerned, right? And so it's not about a win or lose. And I think people view it as like, I'm losing if she looks like she's winning, or I'm winning if he looks like, right? And so you can't, with everything that's in you, you just have to say, it doesn't matter. I laid down with this person and had a child or 2 kids or 4 kids or whatever it is. I have to treat them and understand. My ex-husband and I don't do everything the same, right? My kid is always...
You can't expect that, right?
But that's the beauty of it. My son has to learn to adapt to whatever his dad does in his house. He gets to be the good cop, even though he called him Cupcake Soft. And at my house, which I think is hilarious. And at my house, it's very regimented, and I'm the bad cop, the enforcer all the time. But the thing is, it's not my job or my goal to control what's happening in his house, because I chose to have a child with him. I have to trust and know.
You'll be disappointed every time.
Shit, sometimes I'm disappointed in myself. So what makes me think I'm not going to be disappointed in him?
If you think you can do that, if you can control someone else's household,
you should, and you shouldn't want to, right?
Every time you'd be disappointed. But one thing I did learn is when we were going through in the beginning, when we were going through the whole process, obviously we were living in separate places, and so one of the things I hear a lot about people that are splitting up, and guess what, even if you're not legally married, if you've been with a person for a long time, and you have children with this person, if you're going through this custody thing, at court, one thing I hear a lot is that parents be like, or whoever, I don't want my kid over such because I don't know how he or she is living, and I don't know where he or she is living. One thing you got to know is, first of all, you got to trust that the other parent is not going to put your children in a position where it's going to be compromised. And two, you got to understand too, by law, you have every right to know what address they're staying.
You can know that for sure.
They can come or they can come to your place of residence and see how they're living and how where they're sleeping. Like, people don't understand. Like, you have all of these rights.
You do
that you have at your fingertips, but people don't know what to ask. So while we're like, go and do those quickie divorces, and if it's not contested and blah blah blah, it's like there are legal things that you don't know, and I wouldn't know unless I had gone through it myself.
Absolutely.
And I'm just like, because I was definitely like, it didn't even come up, and the judge was like, well, where are you living, and blah blah blah, and I was like, I have no idea where he's living. He's like, give the address, set up a time, you can go there. I never did, because I trusted that he wouldn't have them in a place that would be crazy. But I mean, I had that right to do so.
You do have the right to know that. Don't do it to go and pick and just be a jerk about it, but you definitely have the right to do that. I think all too often I see other people who are they're making it their life's mission to make the other parent miserable, and you can't do that. That's not what you got into this before. And like, people, please understand, like, love doesn't go anywhere. It just changes. It shifts. It looks different. I might not like you, but again, when you act like that, you make your child feel unwanted. You make them feel like, well, I must have been a mistake. Why am I here? You always have to do that so that your kid understands that they were made in love, and that they were made out of love, and that, like, the union that was created, like, that was perfect for them to be here. But when you start acting like that, your daddy or whatever, or your mama,
remind me of your good ass mama.
You can't say that.
You can't say that.
You cannot say and do things like that, because it is terrible.
And it's hard sometimes, though, to refrain from that because you're hurting so much, and you're just like not understanding why this is happening. I don't even know what this says.
Break. But it does. You do have to stop yourself from doing that. You have to say, go talk to your friends about that. Go to your friends, and if that's what you need to do to kick your exes back in. But do not ever say, listen, I've worked in schools where I've seen kids say to me all the time, well, guess what my mother said, and guess what my dad said, or guess, like, no kid needs to know mommy a hoe, or whatever you think she is, or daddy is, and he ain't good for nothing. You are then telling that child that that's what they are. Do not do that.
Well, I see Felicia just chimed in, and she said not all the time. Not all the time what, Felicia?
Yeah. Hey, Joyce.
Joyce.
So, Joyce.
Hey, Joyce.
Joyce.
That is Joy.
It is Joy, but she put Joyce.
Hey, Joyce.
So it
says Joys.
But it says Joy's strength. Joy's strength is her name.
Well, that would be an apostrophe. Joy's strength. Okay, thanks.
Such an educator.
All right, moving along. So the whole point is, we do have to be mindful what we say when we are around our kids. Are we taking a break?
In 2 minutes. We're taking a break, but I wanted to get some clarity on what Felicia was saying about not all the time. But it's so funny. It takes me. You're saying, like, if you need to kick your exes back in or wherever, go to your friends I think there's an upside and a downside to that too. I saw this meme just the other day, and it says, if you don't hate your bestie's ex more than them, then you're not a real bestie or something. And I started thinking about my good friends that have ex-husbands and people I love, and I will not even give eye contact.
Hold it down. She does not.
I will not. I don't care if you just fell out and in front of me with diamonds and pearls and, hey, Chanel, you will get nothing.
She will not.
You will get nothing.
We definitely got divorced around the same time, but yes, Chanel will hold it down no matter what.
Nope, don't speak to me. You weren't my friend anyway.
So there's definitely that, but I definitely think go to your friends if you have one of those moments where you need to get something out. But again, remember, you laid down and had kids with this person. Don't forget that.
Felicia said that the point where you said the kids are made out of love, and it said it depends on the relationship.
I'm gonna stand by my statement that all kids are made out of love, but I hear you. But
you were made out of oops.
Dear God.
There's love and then there's oops.
I asked my friend,
we get it.
Mistake. She almost slapped the mess out of me. I'm like, it was a joke, obviously.
I mean,
I'm not that bad. I'm not that cruel.
A surprise. I wouldn't say mistake.
I said mistake.
Yeah,
but,
surprise.
It's a surprise. Something you didn't know you wanted until you got it.
I was a surprise.
But here's a surprise is different than the fact that, as an adult, if you're being irresponsible and having unprotected sex, there's a science behind all of that, right? So, Felicia, you are too funny. So I would like to say that
disrespectful.
I would like to think that there was still a love-esque element there.
Or a lust-esque.
They love something.
There's something that was loved. I don't know what to do with that, Felicia. But
I mean, but once the child is here, right?
That's it. If you've made that decision, then you've got to proceed and be. Some people have kids just to hold. Oh,
there's the love.
Okay, Felicia, did you see what she said?
No, some people have kids just to hold on to them.
We are getting controversial today.
So she's absolutely right, especially when a relationship, sometimes too often when a relationship is coming to its demise, and a lot of times, and I'm not just going to put this on the woman, sometimes
I was going to say, why are we having unprotected sex?
The man and the woman will be like, this is what's going to be the glue to put us back together, right? This baby. Or sometimes even just the sex. I would have arguments and... Stop buzzing me.
I'm still buzzing that statement.
Stop buzzing me.
Not you.
Well, first of all, again, go back to your original point that it takes two to tango. So you both are, again, the science of having unprotected sex is just that there's too much of a chance that you
might get pregnant.
And so I get what you're saying, but I think that they both have to be responsible. It's just like people, when I hear these celebrities, well, that was a break baby.
But the reality is, it happens. It happens more often than we like to admit.
But it happens because people are not being responsible, right?
People are not being responsible. People are acting out of emotion. People are acting out of desperation. I don't want this thing to happen, so this will fix this one thing. But it doesn't. It just makes it magnifies.
It does. Children do not make your relationship better.
Not never. No. It just makes it more complicated to go ahead and end whatever it is you probably should have ended 10, 15 years prior.
Here's the other thing you need to know. When your relationship was ending, when my relationship was ending, the problems, I tell people this all the time. Listen, the problems existed a year, 2 years before you ended the relationship. Right. And so people on the outside, this person's moving too fast. No, what you're not getting is that this relationship
was already over
long before we made it to the court.
And now we're just trying to dot the I's and cross the T's.
Yes, I have to think about that. Yes, absolutely. So I think one of the other things you have to think about is the fact that kids don't fix a relationship.
Yep.
Sex isn't going to fix a relationship. What's wrong is wrong. And if you're just adult enough to acknowledge the red flags early on, the things early on, stop thinking all these other things are cute in a relationship, because they're not. It's a red flag and it is wrong, and you've got to educate yourself about those types of things so that we don't get to the point where people are having kids just to hold on or whatever it is, or using sex.
And somebody has to be the mature person. Like, I went through a horrible, my breakup was so bad.
Yeah.
And Phaedra and Felicia and so many other people in my village was there to pick me up. But somebody had to be the adult in all of this. Like, okay, I release it. If that's what you want to do, then go ahead and do it. I have to do X, Y, and Z. We still have to do X, Y, and Z. They're going to still do X, Y, and Z.
Absolutely.
But here we go back to what we've been saying for, this is our 5th week. How important it is to have that village around you, because, you know, sometimes there are things you don't know. And sometimes I'm telling you, like, I had people taking my kids to school, buying me groceries. Like, it was just like that village just came together, and you need that because you just your whole world has been turned upside down. I got a cough again. Like, usually is with Phaedra with her nose running, and now I got this thing in my throat.
Why are you trying to bring up my downfalls?
Why are you trying to point out my shortcomings?
Right.
Why are you bringing up old?
Right. Oh, it's old,
that
right?
was last week.
This week I got the croup.
Like a baby seal. I think that you were making a great point that you do need to get back to the business of it and not get caught in the emotion, or just like you said, using your village. But you've got to understand, children have to be raised. Life has to go on.
You have to put them first.
You do. Above your emotional
above
needs.
All of that stuff. You have to try. And it's not easy. I'm not saying that it's something easy for you to do, but it's something that you have to keep at the forefront of whatever's going on in that relationship. And you're not going to be perfect with it every day, but if you try to remember and get back up on that horse the next day and try to get back on track, it'll make life
it's
so
tough,
much
right?
easier
it's the
for
loss.
your children.
It's the loss of I always tell people the story, like, I think divorce for me it's the loss of, like, a person, a body, a warmth. And you know, like, you were coming in your house and it wasn't peaceful and there were all these things that were occurring, right? And then there comes a point, and then there comes a point where, like, you kind of get used to it. I would tell Chanel and people, I would literally, like, come home and sit on my couch and, like, cry because my son would be with his dad in those early weekends, and I didn't know what else to do with myself. And then eventually, like, one day I was like,
losing yourself in parenting. See how all of our show topics just
go back to that, right? And then one day I was like, I'm going to stop at the Cheesecake Factory and get myself some calamari. And then I got that. And then one day I was like, I'm going to watch this movie. And then it became this rather, like, wonderful thing once I got used to it. But because I had, you know, it's a routine and you get caught up in that. And while I knew I was doing what was best for both of us as adults, as humans, and for our child, because he needed to grow up and see love in a marriage and not this kind of loveless marriage where we stayed together just because we had a kid. But I remember thinking, like, this is so tough. Some Fridays I would get home after, like, exchanging him and, like, cry because, like, what am I going to do? Like, duh, dummy, you have, like, alone time. And I couldn't handle that. And so it was one of those things where I went through a whole cycle, but you have to allow that. But you've got to talk to your village. And I have my friends to talk to and things to go through. So it was that.
And for me, it wasn't so much about, like, after the fact, like, them seeing the love still there or whatever. It's just, I just don't want them to see the turmoil. Right?
True.
So me and my ex, like, we rarely communicated. And of course, my kids were older than they could communicate for themselves what they needed and what they wanted. And they can communicate to each of us if something was wrong. But for me, it was just like to just cut it. I need to cut off all ties, all lines of communication, because it was so unhealthy, not just for me, it was becoming unhealthy for my children too. And so luckily for me, they were at the age where they could advocate for themselves and, you know, have those discussions with each of us as a parent that we really didn't need to communicate with each other.
Your kids were at an age where...
And then when we did, it was, I'm telling you, it was so long. We hadn't communicated in so long. And there was an incident, Nadir was in a car accident. And it wasn't bad. And I called who I thought was
right. I remember that.
And so this man answered the phone, and I'm like, he's okay. Nadir was in a car accident. He just needs to blah, 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 blah. And the guy's like,
no,
who's this? And I was like, wait, who's this? And he's like, not who you think it is. I'm like, oh, snap. I don't even know the man's voice anymore. I never realized that it wasn't the person I thought it was. I don't even know his voice. And so the gentleman was very nice. He was just like, I hope Nadir is okay. I was like, yeah, let me try this number. Let me try another number again, because I'm serious. Like, I needed to do that for myself, because it was such an unhealthy space, and it was such an unhealthy breakup that I needed to disconnect from everything. So I had literally not heard his voice, and I don't even know. Right. I blocked it all out.
I think some people should take a page from your book and understand that for some people, my kid was a lot younger, so we do and still
needed to communicate more.
But I think that there are people who have children who are your age who are breaking up, and they refuse to do that, right? They only want to engage because they think that makes them feel alive. But more people need to take the approach that maybe we do to be healthier, to keep it that way. It's not a hate thing. It's just what we have to do for us, and for my sanity, and for...
Right.
And so if your kids can communicate, please, by all means, let them communicate that.
Right.
You can stand in the room if that's what you feel is best. But if your kid is at an age where they can communicate with their parent and you guys are not able to do so in a healthy manner, then allow the child to do the communicating.
Yep.
I would say if they're like 6 or 7 or whatever, once they get to like 8 or 9, they can. But also you need to keep each other abreast of certain things. I think anywhere after like 4th, 5th grade, the kid can kind of handle things. I think before that, you do have to learn how to get to a place where you can communicate with one another. I know I always hear a lot from my men, that I know, oh, my baby mother, my ex-wife is making my life difficult. Well, women, we have to be responsible and not make life difficult, because especially if these men want to be in their children's lives, you need to allow that and not use your kid as a reason to...
And you got to understand, too, unless there's something egregious that's going on, and that man's like, but then you were in that relationship. I guess it wasn't
that egregious when you were.
Let me tell you something, and I'm not a proponent for couples splitting up. I love black love. I want to see healthy relationships, healthy marriages, but baby, when we finally split up, and the judge was like, he gets this amount of time in the summer and this amount of time every other weekend, I was like, woohoo! Right. Somebody should have told me this a long time ago, because then then I can have some me time. I can get back to who I was.
I make jokes about how like everyone should divorce for that.
It's like,
get me time.
You get some separation.
Schedule's messed up. Have a divorce.
If you lost sight of who you are, you need some me time. Just go get a divorce.
Right. We're joking.
We're joking.
Yes.
We're joking. But I'd like to, I want to hear some of the male perspectives, like what were some of their concerns with divorce, because from their point of view, they're like, you go to court, and it's a woman's world, right? The courts always favor the women, so I'm afraid to go to court because
that's not true, though.
They're going to take me to the cleaners.
You can't be afraid of that, right?
A plan,
and the way that
why are you letting someone else who don't know you, who don't know your spouse,
go to the mediator,
who don't know your children, make a plan for you?
Yes, and the other thing is like child support is only a certain percentage of what you make, right? And so stop fearing that. Stop letting that be your decision, but don't let anybody stop you from seeing your kids. If someone is not giving you the ability to see your kids, then take them to court. That's mothers included. It doesn't matter. The mother, the father, like, you cannot do that. My child is better because he is with his dad and because he gets that from him, right? So it wouldn't matter how I thought about that man. And again, he is really funny. I've discovered, like, when a long time ago, Gwyneth Paltrow got divorced from, I think her ex-husband is in a famous group, Coldplay, Chris Martin. And one time she described him as like, oh, well, he's like my brother, like years after they got divorced. And I could never understand that comment, right? But as someone who is divorced and I get along with my ex-husband rather well, I can now understand what she meant.
I hear music, Joy.
So now I understand that she meant like, oh, it's just someone that you're close to. You know, like there's a closeness, and when you get to that point, you can rise above that. But you know what helps? You have to take care of your own shit before you can say like it, because it's not about you, and enough people don't go handle their own shit and then keep throwing it at the other parent every time. They're just they just want to get their kids the
blame game. Well, you, and if you would have, you didn't, I asked you,
right?
Blah,
it's
blah.
too late for all that. Nobody owes you anything.
All of that, and what are you teaching your children? Right, you're teaching your children that someone owes them something.
No, and no one owes you anything, and you just throwing negativity at this person. Like, stop the crap. I don't care if you're male or female. Stop the BS. And if you're listening, and if you got an angry friend, share this with them because they need to know. You have to. Nobody owes you anything. Not that man. Okay, he cheated on you for the 50th time. You should have left time number one. So that when a person shows you who they are,
that's not the children's fault. That's not their fault. Like, you have to put things in compartments
because you knew he didn't have it together anyway, right? And so or she didn't have it together. And so part of my problem is stop with the crap with going back and forth with someone. So why are you arguing
over old shit? Why are you bringing up old shit, right?
That time when you was sleeping with someone, it doesn't matter.
That's old shit. Guess what? We still got these kids that we got to see through for forever. Like, there is no expiration stamp on parenting. Like, folks sit back and wait until they're 18. Oh, I'm going to be free and clear when you're 18.
Lies.
No.
Lies.
Hello.
The twins are how old, and you're still
you're always a parent.
Always.
Like, you're always a parent, and guess what? You're always going to be a parent with that other person unless, God forbid, one or the other leave this earth.
Exactly. And even then, you have to honor one another, right? And so one of the things...
Talk more about this honor thing.
I just refuse to ever say anything negative about my son's father.
Yeah. Just don't say anything.
There is an honor.
You
just
don't have
keep
to say anything.
Right. And so it doesn't matter where you are in your relationship with someone. Don't say nothing. Don't kick in the back of your kid's parent, because then you are telling that kid that there's something wrong with a part of them, because that's just how kids work. They're not like you or I, right?
But I think sometimes some of that comes with maturity, age of maturity, right?
Some of you need to mature faster, sooner rather than later. You need to stop this. It's ugly, and I see it all the time.
And there's no perfect breakup. There's no perfect breakup. There's going to be some missteps and some mishaps and some miswords.
And that's not what we're talking about. But we're saying like 7 months later, 8 months, like we'll give you some time.
Like you still
4 years later, 5 years later, 2 years, like stop.
Like you still.
And if you're so angry at that man, go seek professional help. If you're that angry that you feel so hurt by things that he did in the relationship, seek professional help.
Or Jesus.
I mean,
seek somebody.
Jesus, Buddha, Allah, somebody is there for you.
Anybody, you need to release that, honey.
Yeah, you
because
do.
It's only poisoning.
Go detox somewhere.
It's only poisoning yourself. It's
only
poisoning. But I really want people to understand, though, the importance of having a plan if you are embarking on a divorce or splitting up with.
The plan is important.
The plan is most important. And if you have a significant other or ex or whatever that's not willing to create that plan with you, have a plan for yourself. Right.
And think about be thoughtful of the other person, right? Like, he can get every other weekend, or she can get every other weekend, or this person and that person can do whatever. So
but I think that's we usually tend to think in the moment, and you have to think outside of just a moment. Like, they're not going to be small forever.
Nope.
Right? They're not going to be in school, in free school forever, or private. Like, all of those things come into play. Like medical insurance, school fees, college,
like even before you camp, like think about all the things, not just clothes, because clothes is nothing.
Like those are so many of the things that we don't tend to even think about and men and women too, because it has to be equally split. Like, oh snap, I forgot I paid $9,000 for summer camp. I didn't put that in my divorce decree. So the onus is on who? You. now.
You got to
because
think of those
you
things
have
in
to think
advance.
outside the box. And I tell you, Google is our friend.
Your best friend. Yeah.
Google it.
Yeah.
Like, we have so much information at our fingertips.
Or
right
you can
now.
have a free conversation on the phone with an attorney and ask questions.
Free consultation.
Right? They have that
with attorneys, right? But talk to your friends that have gone through it. I think that's where I messed up. Like, I didn't talk about it with anyone. I just signed the paper and just wanted to be free and clear of everything.
Yeah.
I don't want anything.
And
from you,
even at our space,
no
I worked
money,
out custody.
right,
and did all of those things.
I don't want anything. I just want this to be
Even
done.
you two as people can draft something and go to the judge and make it legally. You really can. Like, hey, we came together.
Yeah.
This is what we agreed upon.
Yeah.
You've got to like get into that space where like the ugly goes away. Because one of my favorite quotes is like, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah.
That's what a bad relationship is. You, every time he come pick up the baby, you cursing or got something to say, or you giving him the side eye. And there are all these things that people do because whatever the reason is, just people, we have to come together. Like this week we've been talking about the loss of like Nipsey Hussle and the community coming together. Well, guess what? We have to do it in our personal relationships too first, right? And so if I can come together with someone else that I have a child with, or that I've, whatever it is, your ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, whatever, if we can come together, then we can try to do that as a people on the whole. But if you can't get along with your baby mama, your baby daddy, or whomever, your ex-wife or ex-husband, then it's not going to work.
It's not. And we don't mean get along in the sense where you have to all go out to dinner together.
You don't have to break bread.
Go to the beach together. Like, we're just talking about being
pass your
cordial.
kid off without there being an issue. Or,
like,
hey, so-and-so is studying. Having an issue with this. Can you talk with him or her about that? Or this is what's going on. Because, again,
have the ability to be cordial and to put all that other stuff aside and be parent. I think we should give some shout-outs to some folks that have
Hi, LaShambria.
And tell us where you are. LaShambria, where are you chiming in from?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Billy.
Sarah?
I don't know Billy. I don't see a Sarah.
His last name is Billy. It's just Billy Sarah. I don't,
or Sarah Billy or whoever. The rest of you folks I know.
Yeah,
I know
we've definitely.
Brother Marcus. I don't know Robert Hill. Where are you chiming in from, Robert Hill? If you've chimed into the show, chime in.
We got more fellas tonight. Hey, fellas.
If you want to quickly shoot us a question that you may be having about divorce and the impact of divorce on parenting, please do that. We have like 10 minutes. I didn't know if that was her or not. I saw a woman. A woman. Yeah. If you have a question or a comment that you want to chime in with, you can do that as well. You want to share the feed, that is helpful. Tell us again why we want people to share the feed.
So their network can know that the show is going
okay.
on.
Yeah.
So watch with them,
And watch with them, or watch parties, or whatever the case may be. We apologize for our guest, our expert guest, not being able to make it, but she was stuck in traffic coming from New York. But next week's show, we may have 2 in-house guests.
Yes.
So, in next week's show, we'll be talking about parenting a child with a disability.
Yes.
Or a special needs child.
And share that with people you may know who, have that experience.
Yeah. Also, we want to definitely highlight our parent listeners with a parent pop. This week's parent pop is actually our co-host Phaedra and her family.
No, it's not.
Okay, no, it's not.
It's Hasana and Makai Salam.
Have you been drinking before the birthday starts?
I need some NyQuil.
She's not even feeling
I'm
well.
not feeling well. I need some NyQuil.
Last week she was sleepy. This week she's
I'm
sick.
48.
So.
My memory is
don't even try that crap.
Old lady gang.
I'm 48, so bear with me. Bear with me. So we don't have Phaedra and her family.
It's Hasana and Makai Salam. Rivers. No, actually, Makai's last name is Rivers. Hasana's last name is Salam.
So Phaedra has old lady brain. I'm trying to do it.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Shout out to the parents that are just doing it every day.
Well, and all of you who are listening, because you're parents and you're out here really, really trying your hardest to do something. And if you are arguing with your ex, stop it right now and just it can stop just that easy.
It's okay. Yep, it's okay to just stop it
right now.
I'm not even going to
Today is the last day. Fool. And don't text him and tell him.
That can be your exit. Yes, that be fool. I'm not arguing with you anymore. This is the last time. We are going to move on and move forward for our children, because the children is the only thing that matters.
And we have
at this point.
We have a thing in fool in therapy where we talk about if you're living in the past, you're depressed. If you're living in the future, you're anxious, right? And you see this all over, but it is exactly how it works. Don't walk around depressed.
No.
Don't walk around living in what shoulda, coulda, because you can't change what happened. And I know we all think of 50 things we should have said to the person, when the argument was happening.
Yeah.
Let it go.
It's a wrap. It's in the past.
Let it go.
I posted something today on Facebook. And I can't even remember what I posted because I have the 48-year-old brain. Something about every day you're alive. Every day you're given the opportunity to be alive, then you should live.
Yes.
So stop living in all those
because that's a certain death, right?
That's a certain. The only thing for sure and final is death that we know of. For sure,
right? Say that.
So every day that you're able to
you are
open
one day
your
closer
because
your birthday is tomorrow.
Did she just say I'm about to die? Did she just say?
I couldn't help it.
I'm about to send her this text. Fool! I'm not going to do this with you anymore.
We will argue when we are old ladies in wheelchairs. So stop it.
And let us remind you about the fishbowl too. Send in your people. Don't listen. People are still calling me or texting me and saying you should have this show or this show or this show. We want you to email us at
parentingevolution180@gmail.com.
Yes, and we want you to send us your show ideas.
Yes.
And we will pull your show ideas out of the fishbowl and invite you on as a special guest for your show topic. If you do not want to come on as our guest, we will still use your show idea and we'll just shout you out, or maybe not. So utilize the tools that we have given you.
Yeah. You have
Email us. Call in. What else? Instagram is parenting_evolution.
Yes.
We really haven't gotten the Instagram up and running quite.
I mean, we do.
Yeah.
But
it's there.
Up, running.
It's not running. It's up, but it's not running. But engage us, because this is not just a show about. This is not the Chanel and Phaedra show life. Right. This is our show, but it's not specifically about our lives. This is a community-driven show, and we want your input. We want your ideas. We want your challenges. We want you to engage in these conversations as well, because this is ultimately for all of us to heal, not just for.
And again, don't fear your little angry friend. Share this show with them friends. Nobody deserves to feel all your life crap. And you throwing it at them all the time. You're an adult. Get over it.
Yeah. So
they even have therapy. You can call on the phone
or virtual or on the computer.
Oh, we do. I Skype with clients, but there are a number of things you can do to get this work, right? Because you cannot walk around.
This work.
Get it? You cannot walk around like this, throwing your anger. Because you know what? I always make a point to people, and let me just say this: whatever your relationship in is a reflection of your relationship with yourself, right? So you cannot keep throwing negativity at a person and saying it's someone else's fault. A lot of that is just your unresolved childhood stuff that you need to go back and resolve. Yep, sometimes you got to come to.
That's so true.
So it's never just it ain't your baby daddy's fault. That situation reminded you of something else that occurred, and it took you back to that place when you were a kid. But you're an adult. You can't use those skills that you used as a kid to get through stuff as an adult. So stop throwing stuff, swinging, cursing, yelling, thinking that the world deserves your anger. Hold on to that for yourself. If you want it, you hold that heavy bag. But otherwise, get the help that you need, please.
Good ending, Faye. And so with that, we bid you peace
and evolution. One time for the birthday. Y'all give it up for my friend over here looking skin tight.
Birthday, make some noise. If it's your birthday, make some noise. Make some noise. Make some noise. If it's your birthday, make some noise. So, don't forget to tune in next week. We are doing a show on
a really important show.
children with special needs. You know, it's always a question. We get thousands of questions, and there are so many stigmas around it too. So we're gonna have two phenomenal guests.
Yes.
Hey, Jackie, you like last minute with it, big. But we appreciate you. You are definitely one of our most loyal listeners.
You are,
and we appreciate you. I'm so happy to see Felicia actually engaged. She usually is like a silent stalker.
But let me read
background.
Felicia's last comment. Yes, Chanel, we would have had to bail you out of jail.
Well, my people
so
know me.
You.
My people know me.
Thank
my
you, Felicia, for telling the truth.
My people know me, and I'm not going to refute it. Like, I've definitely been in some spaces in my head where it's like, start rounding up that GoFundMe because I'm about to go down the Green Street.
But Old Lady Gang has slowed you down a little bit. Old Lady Gang.
You know what? I'm just recognizing that it's not even worth it.
No.
It's not even worth it.
Let it go. It's too heavy.
It's not even worth it because you know what? Children are innocent in all of this, and your just due will come.
And when in doubt, sing Erykah Badu's Bag Lady. You gonna hurt your back dragging on them bags like that. Keep holding on to all that emotional baggage.
My neck and my back. Oh.
Listen, that song just tells it all. When you feeling angry, play that song, and she talking about you, sis.
And angry is an emotion that you can't get away from. So you know, you feel what you need to feel for the time that you need to feel it, but don't hold on to it. Right. The key is not holding on to it. Like I had to sage my whole self today. House. I'm gonna go home. My house is gonna smell just like sage.
You smell like sage, but it's wonderful
because I lifted my mood. I lit that house up. I refuse to walk into my birthday tomorrow.
That's
with
right, friend.
Negative energy. I smoked that shit out today.
You lifted my mood.
She was about to say something else.
I thought she was going to say something else too. She's
Like,
saying people. She smoked the house. She didn't smoke
house with
sage.
Right.
And for those of you who don't understand, that means she got rid of the negative energy that may have come in the house because you carry other people's energy in your own, and it just gets in your house. So she's saying she got rid of the negative energy.
Freedom was on the floor. The dog was choking like.
You've choked him before with sage.
You bad energy. You might need to go out.
You say that every time. Poor Freedom.
All right. Good night, everyone.
You guys.
We'll catch you all next week.
Okay.